MasterDuel is too expensive. I've put over 1,000 hours into this game over the past year, and I've barely been able to keep up with the meta. I've been sticking to one deck each time, sometimes even dusting my old decks just to keep up. R.I.P. hero. But what if I told you there's a format in MasterDuel that is dirt cheap? You could build nearly all the best decks right now and have space to build jank cards as well. How? Well, let me explain. For those of you who may not know, MasterDuel has 4 rarities of cards. N, normal, R, rare, SR, super rare, and UR, ultra rare. A lot of the best cards in the game have been relegated to SR and UR levels. For instance, right now with all the UR and SR staples, I currently have the dust to make only 1 or 2 cards, and you need 30 dust to make 1 copy of a UR or SR. I have over 28,000 N and R dust. Sure, I've spent money on this game, but that is ridiculous. So, it's time to make the most of yours and my own budget. I'm guessing you at home have plenty of this dust lying in your pocket right now, and if you're looking for a way to use it, this is the video for you. Introducing NR format. Back in March of last year, Konami introduced the N&R Festival, and this was their Forbidden Limited list. A lot of these cards have to do with, well, self-TKing, mostly, and degenerate burn strategies that wouldn't be fun. For disregarding all of the banned cards, really, the limited and semi-limited cards are what really shows what is shining. Mainly the main thing that they were concerned about was Tenyi, a little bit of some of the generator bosses, Time Lords, and Megalith. One thing they forgot to hit, though, Metal Foes. Metal Foes was absolutely crazy in the event. But you also have things like Sideframe Reflector and all of these other cards. You know, another Megalith hit. Wow, crazy. Megalith was still really good, as well as Metal Foes not getting hit at all. And having Vishuddha down to 1 is fine for the whole pop thing. And worrying about True Draco, I understand it. True Draco was a menace back then, but overall, this was the list. And what actually was the best deck, which was Metal Foes. They just didn't hit that at all. But now, this is the boss stage's No Riches, Forbidden, and Limited list. But we also have a lot of other cards that they forgot to hit. Fire Prison. Fire Prison is annoying as hell. All these self-TK cards are gone. Some of the World Legacy cards, that World Legacy World Shield as well. Megalith, for the most part, has been it. Parametal Foes Fusion, as well as Metal Foes Counter. Just having any form of interrupt and through an Archetype Searcher, not the best. But that's not to say those decks are dead. As you can see, this ban list is updated. This was updated very recently, the 6th of March. And I am a big fan of this whole list. This spreadsheet is fantastic. If you want to go ahead and join the Discord server in which I compete in NR, I like to play jank decks. I'm not the biggest fan of meta, but, you know, at the very least, I play tier 3 and try to craft my own homebrews and weird jank decks. It's a lot of fun. But if you want to go ahead and get a taste of some of the good decks as well, you have an entire list of just like decks that you can play that the community has formed in the NR Discord right here, discord.gg/, well, it's going to be the boss stage. I'll link it down below. A lot of these decks are still available to play for certain. There are some that are just, it just goes so far. They all have dueling book screenshots to let you go ahead and see what they are, what they look like, how to build them, and there are also various things involved with engines and all that, but let's go ahead and get back to this. The tier list. So at tier 1, we have a few cards that you might have kind of guessed. Metal Foes as well as Tenyi, but they're different. See, because of the ban list, a lot of these cards have to find supplemental engines to work with in order to be very effective. And the Unchained cards are pretty good for Metal Foes. And the Dragon Maids aren't that bad either. We also have Vendread, Tri-Melffy Sprite, and Predaplant Rika. What? Ritual Pile? Have you ever read Lord of the Red? It is DPE too. Orchist. Orchist is still here, still really powerful. Flower Cardians. I know. I know there's no synchro. There's no Flower Cardian synchro. It's just 2K beater, 2K beater, 2K beater, 2K beater, 2K beater. Attack for game. Salamandrate. I haven't seen too much of this represented myself. FA, hilarious. Fast Magic. I'm not certain about this deck as well. There's also for tier 3 Unchained Labyrinth, one of my least favorite decks to go up against because it feels like they just have all of the responses that can normally be done to my deck lists. I like to go for more of the battle phase. Ancient Warriors, Luna Tri-Brigade, Earth Machine. Earth Machine is still here. Chad Turbo. Ida-10 and all of the star monsters are crazy. Going into level 5 Warrior Turbos into major fusion monsters that can do a whole bunch of crazy shit. Amazing. Draco Metal Foes. A lot of these cards are still, if we take a look at the ban list, the Monarch's Erupt is banned, so a lot of the cards that require for tributing and getting rid of those major floodgates, those have basically been removed. Some of the true Draco cards have been hit, but still, it's really, really still pretty good. And some of the rogue cards, Sword Soul Tenyi. Sword Soul becomes a more or less control deck, and Tenyis have a great synergy with some of the major spell cards that they use, including the field spell, which is basically Pot of Greed. Anytime your opponent activates a monster effect that when you have a normal monster on the field, or at least a non-effect monster. Important distinction. Gadget Raider. Generator is a competent engine in this format, and I love it. Dynamist. Still, I love pending some boys, pen to best deck. Crawlers. These can go pretty brazy. Flip Control in general is a definite road strategy, and Dragon Maid, pure Dragon Maid. They also have a thing called Rogue Notions, an NR format that is essentially disregarding everything that's on the tier list, and everything there is banned, which is really fantastic. It allows for a lot more new styles and new things to be created, maybe expected to be tiered. If that does come up, those things tend to be tiered on the rogue tier, or can possibly even hit tier 3. Earth Machine was a big one that did that, as well as Unchained Labyrinth hit that as well. A lot of those cards are fantastic, and I'm a big fan of rogue notions in general. Being able to play Jank cards is some of my favorites. Either way, this is just the beginning. There is a whole lot more to explore if you just opened up Yu-Gi-Oh! MasterDuel and take a look at the NNR cards and the kind of deck that you can build. It's so much. There's so many. I highly recommend you go ahead and check out the Discord below. Take a look at this ban list. Take a look at all of these different deck lists. By the way, each one of these, a deck list that is made by a contributor. You can also take a look at all of these. There are engines for these decks that can work. You have with the contents of each of these cards that you could search up, add into these, and just, it's just so sick. Just all of these different things give you the core of what you need to get cooking, and the different things that you can start to make your own sort of deck lists. Now that we've given a broad overview of what NR in general looks like, let's take a look at some of the top deck lists from the past tournaments. So this right here is Ocean's Incantation Ritual Pile. Basically, the main thing that this deck wants to do is try to get out 3 main boss monsters: Magician of Chaos, Lord of the Red, and Megalith Phaleg. The big thing about this deck is, of course, Lord of the Red. It's crazy. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, except for Lord of the Red, you can target one monster in the field, destroy it. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated except Lord of the Red, you can target one spell trap card in the field, destroy it. You can use both of these effects in a single turn every single time. Popping one back row and one monster every single turn is pretty good. Also here we have Magician of Chaos, where once per turn when a spell trap card is activated, you can target one card on the field and destroy it. It doesn't have to be either a monster or a spell trap, which is pretty good. As well as Megalith Phaleg, gaining 300 attack and defense for each ritual monster in the graveyard, and you cycle throughout all of those with Ophiel, Haggith, and Auk. Cyber Angel Natasha is typically used mostly for its ability to negate attack, essentially, as well as gaining life points to keep up the grind game. Finally, you have all the incantations which are all pretty much available: Talismandra, Kandal, Pensaplume, Bookstone, and all the main classic searchers for rituals: Senju, Sonic Bird, and Manju. Fantastic cards. Big fan of this list, as well as some interesting tech cards with Odd Eyes Advent. This card can be used to ritual summon any dragon ritual monsters from your hand or graveyard, which means that it can ritual summon Lord of the Red in the graveyard if found and searched. And if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you control none, you could also send Odd Eyes monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard. That's why we are playing Odd Eyes Winged Dragon. Just giving a general overview, Megalith and all the ritual cards are pretty good in this format still. And then for the extra deck, we have a number of cards that are very useful. A lot of 4s are in this, and a lot of generic 4s are pretty decent. Photon Papiloperative, Black Ship of Corn, Rhapsody and Berserk, Diamond Crab King, Gagaga Samurai, Super Quantal Mech Beast Ouroboros, Malevolent Sin, Gunkin Suship Ikura class, and Exosister Asophiel. One of the latest NR cards that we have gotten into our format that has warped a lot of things, because now, with 2 4s, you can get a free bounce. Pretty good. Gravity Controller as well as Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is perfect in these kind of ritual decks. Herald of Mirage Lights, allowing for add up to 2 ritual monsters or ritual spells with different names from your graveyard to your hand. Geonator Transverser is the funniest card in this format, and something that I need to learn how to play around a whole lot more. And Triple Burst Dragon, in case somebody wants to sit behind Marshmallow or anything else that has a low defense stat and has piercing. Pretty decent, as well as stopping a lot of the spell traps that occur during the battle phase. And also we have a Compulsory Evacuation Device. This was a single tech card that Ocean chose to recycle any of the incantations or any of the ritual monsters that could be used for themselves, as well as for the opponent. Megalith is pretty much has been warped from full turbo to pop 9 into making other ritual cards better, and I think that's a healthy spot for this deck to be in. This list is K's Tri-Spright-Melffy, and I'm going to be honest with you, Tri-Brigade is pretty busted in NR. Overall, the Beast and Beast Warrior and Wing Beast type that are allowed in NR, as well as most of the Tri-Brigade normal deck monsters being available, allow for a quick cycle of the main deck nearly every single turn. Crazy. To start with, we have 3 copies of Nerval, 3 copies of Keras, and 3 copies of Fractal, and because of the limited list, we have only 1 copy of Kit. Probably run 3 if we could. As well as that, we have the Melffys. Melffys are available to play and are pretty decent at swarming the board. 1 copy of Melffy Caddy, 3 copies of Melffy Puppy, and 1 copy of Melffy Pony. Alongside that, we have Wind Up Kitten, typical Sprite staple, as well as Sprite Pixie, Sprite Red, and Sprite Carrot. All of these 2s can be brought out if you happen to have Keras, Kit, Kitten, Melffys, and some other 2s that are available. Mad Hacker. Mad Hacker is a card that you may not be aware of, but it's kind of crazy. If a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can special summon this card from your hand. During the end phase, you can banish this card you control, take control of one monster your opponent controls with the lowest attack. While it is phased up on the field, you cannot activate its effects. It cannot special summon from the extra deck except for Link monsters. Okay, doesn't matter. I've just snatch stole you. Pretty good. Big fan of that, especially if you're able to go ahead and play around it with any form of interruption or lockout. And we have that in spades with the Spell Trap Negates. And trying to get out 2s is very important in this deck list because we have Mannequin Cat. Mannequin Cat is crazy in NR. Once per turn, you can attach 1 material from this card. Target 1 monster your opponent controls in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's field. Seems like a neg. Why would you want that? Well, if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field while you control this monster, you could target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, special summon 1 monster with the same type or attribute from your hand, deck, or graveyard. I love Mannequin Cat. It's just crazy. And look at her, she's adorable. You also have Ronin Raccoon and Crumble Logos. We also have Ancient Warriors Loyal Guan Yun. Pankratops at Home is in NR, and it is pretty good. Bring out a 2500 for free is a great way to start turn 2. Tri-Brigade Standoff is a card you may not have read. You can send 1 monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, add a Tri-Brigade monster from your deck from your deck to your hand with a different original type than the original monster sent. Sending any card on the field, including cards that you Mad Hacker, that's a pretty good trade-off for any form of cards that you want to go and add to your hand. Tri-Brigade Rendezvous. This card's main effect, whatever, gain 700 attack until the end of this turn. that's fine. But its main effect is going to be in the graveyard. If a linked beast, beast warrior, winged beast card you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, banish this card from your graveyard instead. That's pretty good. It is essentially the branded spell trap. I forget off the top of my head. Or Despia card. I forget which one. Anyway, that card is great protection in the graveyard, and you can send that into the graveyard pretty easily. Sprite Gamma Burst as well. Increase the attack of all of your level, rank, and link 2 monsters on the field. That helps a lot with getting over cards over battle, especially if you're playing Firefighting Daruma Doll, which gains 100 attack for each beast, beast warrior, and winged beast on the field, and you can destroy a spell trap on the card, a spell trap on the field. And if it destroys a card by battle, you can target a monster that is banished or in your graveyard. Tri-Brigade Revolt would be a pretty good card for that, wouldn't it be? Because you banish those cards anyway. You can add it to your hand. Speaking of Revolt targets, we have Crusadia Regulex. We have some other 2s, including Codebreaker Virus Swordsman, one of the best generic Link 2s in the game. If this card is destroyed while in your possession by an opponent's card instead of this turn, you can special summon it. Generator Transverser, as I said, the funniest Link 2 in the game. Be sure to play around it, or else you will get transversed. They will transverse your gender. Berserker of the Tenyi. Just a 3K beater. Sometimes you need a 3K beater. You can get into that pretty easily with any of these guys. Crazy. The Desperate Doom Eagle. 2+ wind monsters, which can also be brought out by Tri-Brigade Revolt because it is a winged beast. And if your opponent has no card in the graveyard, 4,800 attack monster. And a free shuffler for any cards in the graveyard that might have effects. And Tri-Brigade Rugal the Silver Sheller. Its destruction effect isn't that great, but its main effect is going to be on your opponent's main phase, especially summon a level 4 or lower beast, beast warrior, or winged beast from your hand or graveyard, but again its effects, and return it to the hand. Bringing out any of the Tri-Brigades is crazy. Bringing out any of the Melffys is okay. Bring up Wind Up Kitten. To add that as well, pretty good. Just getting all those monsters back into rotation, very, very good card. Torrential Tribute as well as Phoenix Wing Wing Blast and Paleozoic Dynamicius. Those are just basically trap card removal for keeping a slow. If a start of the game you end up being relatively slow, you don't have any way to pitch any of the monsters into the graveyard or send any of the monsters to bring out any of the sprite cards as well. Just setting these up ought to help out, and it helps out pretty much any end board. These are some great generic trap cards to put in. There was one copy of Mystical Space Typhoon. So that is the Sprite-Melffy Tri-Brigade deck list. And then we're going to move on to our final deck list right now. Finally, for this video, we have Prank Kids. That's right. Prank Kids are pretty good. We have 3 copies of Fansies, Dropsies, Lampsies, Roxies, the main sweep. And the reason why Prank Kids are good is for the simple fact that Dodo Doodle Doo and Bow Wow Bark and Weather Washer are all rare, and that's pretty good. A lot of these cards allow for recursion, searching, flooding the field with a numerous number of assholes. A bit of recursion back with Prank Kids Pranks, allowing you to get that search off. Pandemonium search off, really good. As well as Prank Kids Plan, allowing it to be during the grind game. You could shuffle back any number of cards that are Prank Kids into the graveyard. From the graveyard back into the deck, and they lose 100 attack for each card shuffled. If your opponent wants to end the game, they're going to have to deal with a ton more recursion, and the entire suite comes back again. These also include the Link cards and the Fusion cards. Poly, Fusion Sage to get the Poly, Prank Kids Pranks to get a token out onto the field, and most importantly, Sprite card. 3 copies of Carrot, 2 copies of Pixies, and 2 copies of Red, allowing for the summon of Dropsies at any point to basically become any of these cards in hand. Anytime you're able to normal any of these 3 off and get a second summon off on the field, Sprite, Pixies, Red, and Carrot instantly come online. You want to fuse off 2 of them? Weather Watcher's got your back. Lost Wind is a fantastic card in NR format. Basically, it states that anytime a monster is special summoned, negate its effects, have its attack, and then do it again by setting it when another monster is special summoned from the extra deck, and you can target another one and use it again. Crazy. Mystical Space Typhoon, of course. And a lot of the cards you saw earlier, Crumble Logos and Mannequin Cat, are 2s that can be summoned off. But also we have another rank 2 option in the Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin. Basically, you could detach one material from this card, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0, and negate its effects. It's a slow negate, but it also is a battle effect. It also changes attack to 0, which is very important sometimes. Super Quantum Mech Beast, Grand Pulse, any of the 3s, any 2 copies of Lampsies basically equals a Spell Trap destruction as well, from this Xyz monster. Malevolent Sin, temporary removal for any 2 level 4s with the double Roxy's out. Really good. Just edge cases mostly for this. Your main combo is going to be going into Doodle and Bow Wow Bark alongside Weather Washer and making sure the link arrows are able to be pointed in order to gain the extra attack bonus and allowing for the recursion as well with most Prank Kids lines. Power Code Talker as well, just a target monster in the field, negate that target's effects to the end of this turn, and you contribute a monster's card controls. This card's attack becomes double its original attack during the damage calculation only. Great battle trick. This deck list, I think, is one of the most underrated inside of NR in general. I am a Prank Kids believer, and yeah, no, it may die to a torrential tribute, but hell, most boards do anyway. That is just one of 3 of the decks that I've shown you, and there are so many other options that you have available to you as an NR player. If you want to go ahead and just take a look at any of these deck lists, at any of these various deck lists, and you want me to do profiles, combos, all that sort of stuff with NR to go ahead and practice either with other people in NR or even in solo mode to show you these combos, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to go ahead and do so. Anyway, that is going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoy and have a fantastic day.